We need to get you out of Dallas, like now.
Something bigger?
We need to get you airborne, sir. You and Mrs. Johnson will be safe in Air Force One, back to Washington immediately. Immediately is priority one, sir.
This isn't finished, is it, Rufus?
Sir, I have no information on that, but Air Force One is safe, sir.
We know where everyone is. Dean Russ, Curtis LeMay, Dillon. Do they know what's happened?
Secretary of State Russ, Treasury Secretary Dillon, Press Secretary Pierre Salinger, General LeMay are airborne to Japan, sir. They will have been informed and waiting instructions, sir.
So half President Kennedy's cabinet just happens to be 5 time zones away. You not think that's strange?
From Wondery, this is Secrets, Crimes, and Audiotape, an audio drama told week after week. I'm your host, David Reinstrom. What's your secret? Mine is that I was the 7th Beatle. If you're joining us for the first time, hello. Welcome. Have a seat, make yourself comfortable, and allow me, please, to tell you what audio drama is. Alright. Audio drama is like film or television, except that instead of being projected onto a screen or built out of pixels, the images are created in your own mind, by your own imagination. What we bring to you is the immersive sound design and marvelous acting, and you do the rest of the work. You're welcome. Our charter is to bring you stories of crime, love, mystery, and conspiracy. And the story we begin this week will dive into one of the biggest alleged conspiracies in American history. What happened in Dallas in 1963? Air Force One is about the immediate aftermath of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, as federal agents turned Air Force One into a flying fortress. President-to-be Lyndon Johnson prepared himself to take the oath of office, and Jacqueline Kennedy fought her lingering doubts about Johnson. Let's get cracking with this episode, but first, we'd like to tell our listeners that this play and the theories it explores are based on federal, classified, and academic research, diaries and recollections of those who were in Dallas that afternoon and aboard the presidential jet, including Kennedy's widow. It is an area of contested as well as substantiated documentation. Some names have been changed, and some of the conversations imagined. To reiterate, what you are about to hear is a work of fiction. Secrets, Crimes, and Audiotape presents Air Force One by Christopher Lee, starring Stacy Keach, Glenne Headly, Susan Sullivan, and Stephen Weber. On the 22nd of November, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated by a sniper while riding in an open-top limousine in a motorcade in Dallas. Who was ultimately responsible has never been satisfactorily established. Just 90 minutes after the killing, Vice President Lyndon Baines Johnson was sworn in as president aboard the White House jet, Air Force One. 1 week later, Johnson ordered the creation of a committee to investigate the murder. The Warren Commission's findings remain controversial to this day.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give before the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name for the record.
Jacqueline Kennedy.
White House, this is Secretary of State Dean Russ, Aircraft. We have code number 86972. This is 86972. Do you read me? Over.
This is White House. I read you 86972. Go ahead.
Give me all information on President.
This is White House. All available information on President follows. President and Governor John Connally of Texas have been hit in the car they were riding in. We do not know how serious the situation is.
Can you go back to the time that you came to Dallas on November 22nd and describe what happened there after the plane landed?
We got off the plane. The then Vice President and Mrs. Johnson were there already, and they gave us flowers. And then the car was waiting, but there was a big crowd there, all yelling with banners and everything. And we went to shake hands with them. It was a very hot day, and you went all along a long line. I tried to stay close to my husband, and lots of times you get pushed away, you know, people leaning over and pulling your hand. They were very friendly, and finally, I don't know how, we got back to the car. There was lots of confusion.
As you got into the main street of Dallas, were there very large crowds on all the streets?
Yes.
And you waved to them and proceeded down the street with the motorcade?
Yes. And in the motorcade, you know, I usually would be waving mostly to the left side. And he?
The president, President Kennedy?
Yes. He was waving mostly to the right, which is one reason you're not looking at each other very much, and it was terribly hot, just blinding all of us.
Now, do you remember as you turned off of the main street onto Houston Street, 1 block before you get to the depository building?
Well, I remember whenever it was, Mrs. Conley, Governor Conley's wife, she was riding with us. She said, "We will soon be there." We could see a tunnel in front of us. Everything was really slow then, and I remember thinking it would be so cool under that tunnel.
And then, do you remember as you turned off of Houston onto Elm, right by the depository building?
Well, I don't know the names of the streets, but I suppose... Yes, well, that is when Mrs. Conley said... She said to President Kennedy, "You certainly can't say that the people of Dallas haven't given you a nice welcome."
What did he say?
Do you want me to tell you what happened?
If you would, please.
You know, there's always noise in a motorcade, and there are always motorcycles. Besides us, a lot of them backfiring, so I was looking to the left. I guess there was a noise, but it didn't seem like any different noise, really, because there's so much noise, motorcycles and things. But then, suddenly, Governor Conley was yelling, "Oh, no, no, no."
Did he turn toward you?
No, I was looking this way, to the left, and I heard these terrible noises, you know? And my husband never made any sound, so I turned to the right, and all I remember is seeing my husband. He had this sort of quizzical look on his face, and his hand was up. It must have been his left hand. And just as I turned and looked at him, I could see a piece of his skull.
White House, this is 86972. I have Secretary Rusk for you.
White House, this is Secretary Rusk. Do you read me?
This is White House. I read you 86972. Go ahead, Mr. Secretary.
Give me all information on President.
All available information on President follows. President and Governor John Connally of Texas have been hit in the car they were riding in. We do not know how serious the situation is.
That is affirmative?
Affirmative. 86972, I read. Kennedy shot in head. Connally blood on forehead. The president and the governor have been hit in the car they were riding in.
This is Walter Cronkite in our newsroom. There has been an attempt on the life of President Kennedy. He was wounded in an automobile driving from Dallas Airport into downtown Dallas, along with Governor Connally of Texas. They've been taken to Parkland Hospital there, where their condition is as yet unknown.
And then he sort of did this, put his hand to his forehead and fell in my lap, and then I just remember I was shouting. And just being down in the car with his head in my lap, I was trying to hold his hair on. From the front, there was nothing. I suppose there must have been, but from the back, you could see. You know, you were trying to hold his hair on and his skull on. I could see a piece of his skull, sort of wedge-shaped, like that. And I remember that it was flesh-colored with little ridges at the top. And then I just remember falling on him and saying, "Oh, no, no, no. I mean, oh, my God. They've shot my husband. And I love you, Jack. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, my God. They've shot my husband. I love you, Jack."
Lancer is down. Lancer is down. Hospital. No, no, don't stop. Go, go. Get to the hospital. Lancer is down. Go, go.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson, presumably he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
You two, mark that corner. No one but no one in this corridor. Understood?
Sir.
Go then. Go. This way, sir.
Where are we heading, Rufus?
We need a room here, sir, just to check out. In here? Sir, Mrs. Johnson, please.
Thank you, Rufus. We're going to be all right.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
What about Mrs. Kennedy?
She's 2 floors below us in the mortuary corridor.
We need to get her up here.
Yes, sir. She's waiting for the medical examiner to attend the
President Kennedy.
Yes, sir. She has an escort with her from the Dallas Police Department.
The president has been shot. The first lady's being guarded by a cop. Lyndon.
Get some cover down there, Rufus.
Yes, sir.
Give me White House. This is White House, over. White House. Secretary Rusk would like to know the whereabouts of the Vice President. Please advise. Over.
86972, this is White House. The Vice President is in the Parkland Hospital in Dallas. He is not injured. I repeat, not injured. Over.
Rufus, maybe you should get to a phone. Call Washington.
Look here. I'm Senior Secret Service Officer, and hear this. I am not leaving this man to phone anyone. Understood? I stay with Vice President Johnson.
Okay.
You want to check out the exits? I'm in there with the Vice President. You want me? Knock and then come in real slow. You understand? Real slow. No surprises. Understand?
Could use a coffee?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
What do you think, Rufus? Something bigger going down here?
Well, we need to get you out of Dallas, like now.
Something bigger?
We need to get you airborne, sir. You and Mrs. Johnson will be safe in Air Force One. Back to Washington immediately. Immediately is priority one, sir.
This isn't finished, is it, Rufus?
Sir, I have no information on that, but Air Force One is safe, sir.
We know where everyone is. Dean Russ, Curtis LeMay, Dillon. Do they know what's happened?
Secretary of State Russ, Treasury Secretary Dillon, Press Secretary Pierre Salinger, General LeMay are airborne to Japan, sir. They will have been informed and waiting instructions, sir.
So half President Kennedy's cabinet just happens to be 5 time zones away. You not think that's strange?
The foreign minister's meeting in Tokyo, sir.
Pass the word, I say they turn right around, Rufus. Right around.
Coffee's here, sir.
Thank you, Rufus.
All the corridors are checked out, sir. They're clean when you're ready.
We need a team. I want everyone who came down here to return to Washington with me.
We've got to get in the air, sir.
Need secretarial backup. Liz Carpenter. Marie
Famer,
and
sir.
Get Jack Valenti. We need him to keep the news line on this.
Sir, we
Okay, Rufus, soon. Very soon.
Sir, this is not a secure location.
Mrs. Kennedy?
Mr. President, sir.
No.
Sir.
Not yet.
They want an announcement down there.
No,
sir.
wait until I get out of here and back on the plane.
The traveling press, sir.
Rufus, we wait until I'm on the plane.
Yes, sir.
We don't know, do we?
Sir.
Think global, Rufus. Global. We don't know whether this could be a worldwide conspiracy, huh? Maybe they're after me as well. We don't know, do we?
White House, this is 86972, arriving Honolulu with Secretary Dean Rusk on board.
Roger, copy, and standing by, sir.
Secretary Rusk asks, please advise whereabouts President Kennedy. Over.
86972, advise President Kennedy remaining hospital. Air Force One standing by for takeoff.
Okay. This is how we do it. We leave this room and make a right. We follow the red stripe on the floor. That leads us to the emergency room exit. Time 90 seconds.
Then?
We take it easy along that line. No running. Walking real fast. No looking at anyone, eyes down, sir. No eye contact, sir. Just follow the line. We have a Secret Service detail right through to the doors.
Everyone happy with that?
Yes, Mr. President, sir. Yes. Okay, at the exit we have 5 automobiles unmarked. Dallas Police Department Outriders. Mr. President, you take the 3rd car. I'll be glued to you. Eyes still down.
Bird, where will Bird be?
Right here, Lyndon, right with you.
Ms. Johnson, you'll take car 4, please.
Yes.
Here's the car routine. When we get to the car, I need you away from the window, sir.
Which side?
No, sir. In the middle. I'll sit one side, Congressman Thorne here on the other side, sir.
Art, you got that?
Fine, Mr. President.
That it, Rufus?
Just one thing, Mr. President. If we get an intrusion, you may hear radio talk. It'll be coded, so that you know, as of this time, the plane is coded 26000. When you get on board, it will revert to Air Force One. Mr. President, your code name remains Volunteer.
Volunteer? I think not.
Art?
Just fine, Mr. President.
Bird?
I guess I stay the same. Victoria?
Sir, Mrs. Johnson remains codename Victoria. And President Kennedy, Lancer. Mrs. Kennedy remains Lace. Okay?
Kennedy, what about Mrs. Kennedy?
Mrs. Kennedy is still outside the mortuary, sir.
Just standing there?
Yes, ma'am.
Lyndon, that cannot be. Poor Jackie. She can't just be in some basement alone at a time like this.
She flies with us.
I'm afraid, sir, Mrs. Kennedy says she must stay with the Mr. Kennedy. She could need attention. We think she's in shock. We can arrange a second flight. Could be tomorrow, sir.
She flies with us.
Sir, we have to clear this place. We have been here too long.
Okay, Rufus, we go.
Thank you, sir.
But we do not leave Dallas. Not without Mrs. Kennedy. We need to keep her on the reservation. We need to show that Mrs. Kennedy is with us. We need to make sure that no one starts cooking some dumb idea of conspiracy.
This could take time, sir.
Who's guarding Mrs. Kennedy?
Roy Kellerman's detail is securing the area.
Rufus, get Kellerman on this. Have him get President Kennedy's coffin moved aboard Air Force One and an escort for Mrs. Kennedy. We will wait for both.
Okay, as of this time, this is a secure area. Please clear.
What's going on?
Special Agent Kellerman, Chief of White House Secret Service Detail. You are?
Rose. Earl Rose, Chief of Forensic Pathology.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. We'd appreciate your cooperation at this time. We shall be removing President Kennedy for return to Washington.
That cannot be. There has to be an autopsy.
I can assure you, sir, that the correct procedures will be followed. Now, if you'll just step back...
No, what are you doing?
Okay, back off. Just back, sir.
This is my department. You must leave.
Sir, please. You will understand this is a difficult time, so if you will...
This is an outrage. The body must remain here. You don't understand, Agent Kellerman. When there's a homicide here in Texas, we must have an autopsy.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. If you want to check this up the line someplace, you'll know that this is not Texas jurisdiction. This is federal.
What?
Sir, you've done a fine job, but as of now, if you just stand aside and we can remove President Kennedy's remains, okay?
Stay away from that coffin! You have no right to take the president's body. Under the law of the state of Texas,
Okay, guys,
there has to
let's
be
move on that trolley. Look, mister, we've explained...
This is a hospital. This is Texas. You are under Texan jurisdiction. I am the medical examiner. I decide what happens to a body.
Last time, okay? Last time. This is not a body. This is not a homicide. This is President John F. Kennedy. That was not homicide. That was assassination. And as of right now, we're running out of time, okay? Now, if you just stand back.
I will do nothing. Sure. I can only warn you, Agent
Kellerman. Right there. Against the wall will be just fine.
Somebody call the police department.
Frank, Joe.
We got it. Step back. Step right back.
What the hell are you doing? Guns. Guns? This is a hospital, damn it!
Okay, back off. Against the wall like the gentleman says. Easy and it'll be just that.
This is kidnapping.
Mrs. Kennedy.
Please, what is happening here?
Mrs. Kennedy.
Will someone tell me? What is going on? Roy?
All in hand, Mrs. Kennedy. Dr. Rose here was just signing the release.
Release? What release?
Mrs. Kennedy, if I could, on behalf of myself and my staff, express our...
Please! Will someone tell me? The shouting. What is happening?
Mrs. Kennedy, you're covered and you're not hurt, are you? I'm sorry. I was simply explaining, Mrs. Kennedy, that we have to retain the body for legal reasons.
Retain? Body? Legal reasons? That is my husband lying there in that casket. Do you understand that? My husband. I am outside, waiting. And what do I hear? Shouting. Threats.
I don't mean to...
Roy, please.
No problems, ma'am. We're all done here. Let's go. Bill, will you ride with Mrs. Kennedy?
Got it. Mrs. Kennedy, we just follow the red line, if you will.
Okay, let's move it.
I promise you, Agent Kellerman, I promise you will hear more of this.
I'm pretty sure you're right on that one, Doc.
Air Force One, this is White House. If possible, request the names of the passengers on board, please.
We have 40 plus. Go ahead. Over.
40 people, is that affirmative?
That's affirmative.
Can you tell me in regards to 1 and 2, the top people?
Roger. The president is on board, the body is on board, and Mrs. Kennedy is on board.
Excuse me.
Okay, everybody, please, everybody. Nobody but nobody leaves Air Force One. Understood?
Understood.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And understand this, you are now in the stateroom. Ordinarily it takes 6, maybe 10. I apologize for the crowding and the heat, but here you're safe. This plane is a secure area and remains so until takeoff.
Well, thank God. It's not over yet, is it, Rufus?
We're fine, Miss Johnson, just fine, just making sure. Right? Hey, listen up, everybody. Pull down the window blind nearest you.
Sitting ducks, huh?
Just making sure, Congressman Thorne.
Rufus, pilot says White House wants to know takeoff time.
Not until swearing in is done.
Well, that can wait until Washington.
Mr. Johnson says here, Mr. Valenti.
Rufus, I need a line for the press pool. Congressman, so I need a landing time.
Tell them we're airborne to Washington in the next hour, Valenti.
Is that true?
When'd that matter to those guys? Just tell them.
Mr. President.
Rufus, good job. We appreciate it.
Mr. President.
Jack.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. President.
Marie, welcome aboard.
Mr. President.
Keep close, Marie. I need you on the team. I need you to fix things.
An honor, Mr. President.
Art?
Lyndon.
Liz?
Mr. President?
Glad you could get here. You mind, you stay tight with Bird. You understand?
Yes, sir.
George?
We are ready to carry out any orders you have, Mr. President.
Why, thank you. Marie.
Sir?
Get hold of Federal District Judge Hughes. Tell her she's got to get out here to Air Force One right now.
Where do I find her?
Find her. Tell her I want her to swear me in.
Lyndon, Mr. President, could be Judge Hughes will feel she is not the right person.
Art.
Mr. President.
Who got Sarah Hughes appointed federal judge when the Attorney General said she was too old?
You did, Mr. President. All I'm saying is that could be we need to get out of here, and the swearing-in could wait until we get to Washington.
Marie, call Chief Justice Warren in Washington. Tell him I want him to authorize Judge Hughes out here on Air Force One ready to swear me inside the hour. Understood?
Right away, Mr. President.
That's just fine. We don't go until it's done.
Bobby Kennedy says...
I just talked on the phone with Bobby. He understands.
Bobby is Attorney General, and he says... I guess I misheard, Bobby.
Rufus?
Sir.
I heard banging back there.
Yes, sir. We have a detail taking out the back seats. We need the space for the casket, and Mrs. Kennedy is there right now.
I just spoke with her.
Is there a problem, Mr. Valani?
Christ's sake, she's still covered in blood. She can't get into the president's suite, not even the bedroom. Seems it's messed up.
We were in there, Jack, just changing. I think Mrs. Kennedy seems surprised to see us, but Mrs. Kennedy can use it now until we get to Washington.
Bird's right. We'll stay here in the stateroom. Make everyone understand, Jack. No one but Mrs. Kennedy uses that room. Understood? Make it known. Bird, you want to tell Mrs. Kennedy?
I can do that.
Mrs. Kennedy could travel back in Air Force 2 from here tomorrow.
Jack, Mrs. Kennedy stays with us. Understood? I want her right alongside when we do the swearing in and tight alongside me when we do the photographs. This has to be clean. Right alongside. No one getting any ideas. Understood?
Yes.
We need to keep Mrs. Kennedy on the reservation. Everyone hear me?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Tell me, Rufus, you think they're not done?
How's that, Congressman?
Conspiracy. Something bigger.
Than assassinating the president, there's something bigger?
Come on, Rufus. You got into security detail. You seen the threat assessment. Lyndon Johnson was loud and clear. He was talking conspiracy. Big conspiracy. Maybe them Soviets.
Way above my pay scale, Congressman.
Those guys in Moscow never forgave Jack Kennedy for what he did to that Khrushchev last year.
Making the Russians pull out their missiles from Cuba.
Cuba was a big deal for those folks.
And you think, Congressman, that the hit on the president was revenge? You're saying the Russians did this?
Maybe I'm thinking it wasn't just the president they were after. They got Governor Connolly, too.
Hospital says he'll come through.
A guy takes a hit, Rufus. He's not meant to come through. You told us just now to pull down the blinds. Not over, is it?
A precaution.
You see, Rufus, the Lyndon Johnson I know don't scare. And right now, the Lyndon Johnson I know senses something's bigger here.
Conspiracy? There's no proof.
But even now, even this day, there's still one thing that makes no sense to me. Tell me something, Rufus. The close protection detail alongside President Kennedy's limousine.
Agent Ripka. Henry Ripka. He was the president's point man.
So, who ordered,
Agent Ripka.
Right, who ordered Agent Ripka off President Kennedy's Lincoln? Maybe a minute before the president was shot.
We were 2 cars back. I did not see that.
Would you have got off Mr. Johnson's automobile? No, you would not.
You're saying, Congressman?
I'm saying, Rufus, that the guy on the president's side, running with the limousine, inches away from President Kennedy, ready to take the hit if it came, suddenly he drops back. Called off, Rufus. Someone called off President Kennedy's dog. Agent Ripka did not like that. I saw it. His body language said he didn't want to.
I didn't know this. Why would he do that?
Because someone told him to.
But who would?
So you tell me, Rufus, who would have the authority to tell the close protection to step back? And whoever did, where did his orders come from?
Stay tuned for scenes from the next episode of Air Force One on secrets, crimes, and audiotape.
Isn't it? She says Jack did not want to come to Dallas.
She say why?
No, but she said one of the advance team spoke to President Kennedy last night, Marty Underwood. She says he warned the president that he was in danger.
We hope you've enjoyed this little taste of secrecy and paranoia.
Marty, he's the advance man in Houston.
Bert?
Mrs. Kennedy tells me that Marty Underwood went to see President Kennedy last night and told the president there was a rumor that someone was planning to kill him in Dallas.
You hear that?
The PRS ran a...
PRS?
Sorry, sir. The Protective Research Section ran a check on what he was saying.
And?
And it seems it was just a rumor.
Why would this Marty come with just a rumor?
Because if you did, we'll be playing the conclusion to this piece on next week's show.
That would make it something else, wouldn't it, Congressman?
We don't know, Mrs. Kennedy. Maybe we're not going to know. But if President Kennedy was a target, and so was Governor Connolly, then that's different.
But Vice President Johnson was not?
If you like what you hear, do us a favor and get on iTunes. Write us a review, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, please tell your friends about us. We're trying to spread the word about audio drama, and in order to do that, we need your help. We'd love it if you'd go online and take our brief little survey, which can be found at wondery.com/survey. If you have a question for the team, or you just want to leave a comment, follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @SecretsCrimes, or send us an email to secrets@wondery.com. Well, folks, I'm afraid our time is up. But if you're craving other incredible audio dramas, please don't hesitate. Run, do not walk to your nearest podcast provider and get you some other Wondery partner shows, like The Cleansed or Radio Drama Revival. Thank you for listening to Secrets, Crimes, and Audiotape. Air Force One was written by Christopher Lee and directed by Martin Jarvis, and is a Jarvis and Ayers production. The theme song for our series was composed by Mark Hadley. Executive producers Jeffrey Glazer and Hernan Lopez for Wondery. Until next time, I'm your host, David Reinstrom. What's your secret?